Welcome back to the Maim podcast. This is going to be episode 5. Today is Wednesday, December 27th. We're just going to kind of be doing an end of the year recap. We got basically the whole crew here today, so we're going to be going over things we learned from this season, some things we didn't expect, and just overall goals for this coming new year. So got a lot of big things planned, and hopefully a lot of work to get done and ways we can be better for next year. So it's pretty snowing and stuff out right now. It's kind of the first cold front of the year that we're getting. I wish we were getting more snow down here, but just kind of sitting around. Gonna talk a lot tonight. And
yeah, Iowa got a couple inches, Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah, send it our way. Why didn't you bring it with you?
Should be getting good though. Late season up there.
Yeah.
A lot of deer were moving tonight from cell cams.
No doubt should have been hunting tonight, but looks like we got, even for coming into the new year, we should have some colder temperatures coming in. So if anyone's still holding on to a late season tag, it'd be a super good time to jump on a green food source or standing grain, no doubt.
Everyone out there hunting, though, be careful, because last night we went to run a couple cameras and change batteries and found the first shed of the year, and another buddy actually just sent a picture of a shed he found. So
a lot of Facebook groups I'm in, or people are already finding sheds. So I guarantee you there's gonna be a lot of shed bucks killed this year.
Yeah, and the shed we found last night was below Central Missouri. So
right.
It's definitely, I think there's 2 on camera down there that have lost both sides that we know of. And so someone killed a deer in Iowa, actually.
Tiffany.
Yeah, there you go. Tiffany.
Killed her deer, whatever, like Christmas night or something. Both sides fell off. Like 175, 80-inch deer. Walked up to it, picked it up, and both sides popped off.
Yeah, when both sides pop off like that, it was within a day of probably.
Right. It was probably going to drop anyways.
Yeah, my grandpa's done that. They did it first season shotgun in Iowa, and they've had it happen before.
Really?
Yeah, that early even.
I don't know how I'd feel. It'd kind of not piss me off, but it kind of upset me. Like, imagine just, if it had the deer, take Tiffany's deer, whatever, 170 or whatever it ended up being. Imagine if it made it till next year. It may have gone backwards, but if you walked up to it and we're going to pick up the sheds anyway, like it dropped it and you were going to pick the sheds up off of it.
Yeah,
so
I think close.
That's the thing, though, that really I don't agree with as far as of the way some seasons run. I don't know about Iowa, but Kansas, like they have their doe season after.
Iowa just brought it back this year.
Yeah, after everything.
I think they started. I don't know for sure. My grandpa says they had it back whenever he was
a kid,
younger. I don't know, and I think they brought it back last year, but they might have even done it before. But it's like a late gun season. You can shoot anything bigger than a 223 and shoot does. And it's from January 11th to 21st that I hope everybody just forgets about and doesn't really remember that it exists.
Yeah, terrible.
Well, that's what Kansas, they have the late doe season, and there's not enough people out there that can judge a shed buck. They just no antlers. That
somebody
looks like
that
the
just
biggest doe out there, and they shoot it, and it's a shed buck.
Yeah, just take somebody that wants to go out and just shoot something for meat, and they think a big doe walks out, and they walk up to it, and it's a 5, 6.5-year-old shed buck.
Yeah,
that'll make you cry. Imagine the neighbor sends you pictures. I'd try and find the sheds off of it. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's kind of an unfortunate thing, but we can't really control it. So
the DNR works in mysterious ways.
Yeah,
No, that's most of the time, unless we have like a whatever, call it mega giant, 170, 180, 190, whatever. We usually don't hunt like past the new year a whole lot. We'll hunt that muzzleloader, but the last 15 days, whatever it closes here, January 15th, them last 15 days, we don't hardly hunt unless we have a good shooter to get on.
I feel like a lot of deer are shedding early this year because we've been in such a drought and have a lack of food, really. And they're probably added more stress than typical years. And for the most part, we always have 1 to 2 bucks that will shed early for whatever reason, unhealthy, a hard run down. And then we always, most of the deer hold through February, and we don't start really looking until mid-March. But
after Iowa Deer Classics, when we really started looking, I mean,
I haven't gotten anything on camera yet of has shedded.
no,
so.
not that. I know out in Kansas where we hunt, there was this deer every year. Actually, the deer is still alive. It was busted this year, but every year it would hold like till almost the last week of April. Like,
yeah, Cole never found
it would hold through turkey season.
Cole
every
wouldn't
year.
find the sheds off of it until next year because he'd be done
shed hunting,
yeah.
and it would still be holding.
And he'd find them the following year. He'd find
Yeah.
that last year
For whatever reason, I don't know why, but it would be a little behind like the other deer growing, but it would catch up like really quick.
Wow. Huh.
So very interesting how it held that long. I mean, we have deer that'll hold, fairly long, even into, I guess, March, but never through April. I mean, I've seen them in turkey season. Our turkey season's
and they got
the
6-inch.
second week in April, and they've already got bases,
Yeah.
6-inch bases.
Well, let's get into kind of some expectations, I guess, through the summer of like going into this year. What everyone expected, how cameras were looking. Obviously, we had a super dry summer here until the latter part of the summer when we got like 8 inches of rain and then, a couple days. But I guess we'll reel it all the way back to about July when we started throwing cameras out and getting some stuff on camera and different expectations going into this year. So whoever wants to take it. Alan?
What do you want to start with when we pulled an all-nighter?
Oh, yeah, we can get into that.
Which one?
Yeah, which all-nighter?
I've been on a lot of all-nighters this year, Alan.
Well, the one we decided not to leave here and go to the farm till about 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Whenever we loaded the skid loader up and we drove all the way up to Iowa and got there about midnight.
Yeah, so we rolled all the way up to this, which this would have been your first year filming with us. So we kind of had it in mind to get your guys' farm getting set up, and we're going to put some blinds up and kind of structure some stuff different, get some bedding plans going. And
we had to set up that redneck too on the big platform.
Yeah, we had a couple rednecks to set up and different stuff. So we drove up one weekend and threw out cameras, set the redneck up, threw out the whole night. I guess that's kind of whenever we we went up before to spray and put out cameras and stuff.
Yeah, we did put up cameras. When was that, July?
Yeah, it was July.
Was it July?
So that would have been when we were pulling cameras, but that was kind of the main...
Because we saw Dirk
yes.
when we went up in August.
But that was kind of the main time we were up there was August, because we went up to plant. We got everything planted. And going into your season, looking at cameras, there was a ton of bucks that just needed that one more year.
There was a ton of them, but there was one that I believe was 6.5. We named him Dirk, and I don't know what it was, but we saw him on the hoof in the velvet in the middle of the bean field. We jumped him up out of his bed and set up trail cameras pretty close to where we thought he was bedded, and sure enough, that night we got pictures of him headed to feed out in the river bottoms, and after that it seemed like he noticed we put the cameras there. Because he just didn't.
Yeah, it's like
every picture was he was looking at it, or he was smelling the grass because we had been sweating all day.
Right,
it smelled like shit.
Well, it was like 101 degrees when we were up there that weekend.
Yeah, we were like walking zombies by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so
after that, I think it was early August. I'd never seen him since. So hopefully EHD didn't get him, and he shows back up here before too long, or maybe we find him.
Yeah, find them in shed season possibly. Yeah. But going into your season, we definitely had in mind that it was probably going to be, if you were going to kill a buck up there, it's probably going to be late season or rut when something different was going to show up than what you had on camera, because you had a lot of that borderline deer that a lot of people have, hard time passing them.
Right, yeah, I had
140s all the way up to mid 60s probably, and just a lot of deer that if they made it to next year, and most of them have, aside from a couple of them, most of them have made it to next year, so that's good. But
luckily for now, usually in the past it's been hard to get the deer past that 4.5-year-old age, but as of right now, the one shows up once every 6-7 days, but the cameras could be just missing him, and
yeah.
But as of right now, we've got 2 studs, a 4.5-year-old that'll be 5 next year, and then a 3.5-year-old that'll be 4, I think. And then another older deer that I actually have pictures of when he was 2.5. Now he's 5, but monstrous brow tines.
Oh yeah.
I think next year could be
Next year
dirty
could be
up there.
yeah. Next year could be one of the hottest
with
years
with the
you may
plans
ever have
we
up
got planned for this all season.
Yeah.
All them deer are in trouble next year.
I'm pretty excited to get up there.
Yeah,
We
we'll
got-
get into that after we go through some more summer stuff. Kind of in the episode, we'll go through some next year plans and stuff. But
Yeah.
so that kind of was, this whole year up at your place was more or less just a observation, kind of get some bucks on video and just get an idea how the deer are moving through it and make plans going into next year to set it up, according to the young deer that you had on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think as an overall perspective, this year in several ways went just as expected.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of
no
times
doubt.
you can expect the best, and there's always going to be roadblocks, and it could go completely the other direction. But for the most part, I mean, for me and Brady, our season went
Exactly how we.
exactly how we scripted it to be, and even
Besides Kansas. But
Besides
we don't
Leave that out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to the other episode if you want to hear all that tragic news. But I
But-
mean, even you, Adam, you and your wife, early season, we went into that place this year, put a ton of work in, and it paid off the first year of the year.
Yeah, I want to say what we got in there. I was trying to look through my history here, but what was it like? August, I want to say we were in there in August, right?
Yeah.
Spencer?
So
Probably somewhere around there.
Yeah, August, and we cut out like 2 or 3 acres of just tall thorn brush.
yeah, it had just been overgrown and nothing was done with it.
Yeah, and I have
August
been hunting
13th.
yeah, that's right. There you go. And I have been hunting the property for probably a better part of a decade, just in a different area. And I got permission this year to get out there and plant some plots. And thankfully, some good buddies that have lots of equipment to do that and make it an easier job.
Oh, don't thank us, thank the bank.
Yeah, no, right, yeah. But yeah, we set up some trail cameras as soon as that happened, and we had one deer on there that all the other deer were fairly young, and it was good to see that they felt safe in the area with the bedding and some of the food source around that area, and they have a lot of water as well. Cover
Oh, yeah.
everything they need really right there. It's ideal. And one deer kind of popped up on the radar fairly quick. I want to say Spencer sent me a text of like a video or a screenshot or something of just something in velvet that just had some pretty tall tines. And from years past, we determined it was this deer named Buster, who we're gonna get him tested, but he was definitely a 4.5. I really am leaning towards a 5.5-year-old deer.
Yeah.
And yeah, Addie put the smackdown on him the September 17th. So opening day was the 15th. So yeah, no, it was.
Knocked him out early.
Yeah, it was quick, and
that was her first bow buck. No?
yeah, that was her first bow buck. Yeah, her
Was
first.
that her first buck?
That was her first buck too. Yeah, her first buck, and yeah, it was a dandy. I mean, I didn't even officially score him yet, but we'll get it done here soon. The taxidermy should be finished up on him in about a month.
Yeah.
That was a stud first buck.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And she saw it. She saw it before you did, didn't she?
Yeah. No, I was supposed to be recording, and
Yeah.
it was like, oh man, he had been coming out that time of the year. It gets dark at 7:45, and sunset starts 30 minutes before then. So I had him coming into the field at like 7:07, 7:06, like almost religiously, and then
Right.
we hunted on the 16th. Oh no, sorry, the 15th. We didn't hunt the 16th, and we hunted the 17th. So we hunted the 15th opening day, and I thought I saw him in the woods, and I'm almost betting that he did, and thank God he didn't wind us that night, because he didn't come to the field, and then all of a sudden I get a trail cam picture like 30 minutes after.
Yeah,
we
it was right
left.
after you guys had got out.
Boom, there he is in front of the trail camera. And so 17th rolls around, and I'm thinking he's showing up super late, so I'm kind of kicking it up. There's some does out in the field that I'm watching, just relaxing, and all of a sudden, Addie's hunting with I'm hooking her up with a compound bow this next year, but she has a little recurve crossbow that she's been practicing with, and nothing you really want to shoot past, 35, 40 yards.
Yeah.
She puts the smack down on him, and I didn't even notice he was there until I look up, and SOB's at 27 yards. So,
Because the night before he came in there pretty early, you were just at dinner with us, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, we were all hanging out, and honestly, I was like, I don't really want to hunt the next day. Like, we may have busted something out, whatever. And nope, showed up, daylight. Gotta love it. So luckily that happened the next day, and he went out. So early season for us went good.
And he showed up a lot. I mean, he showed up pretty consistent.
Oh yeah. Well, he was showing up consistent.
What did you have planted in the field that he was really hitting?
Mainly early season, right there. I think we planted in some.
It was some early season turnips and
Some really big.
Yeah, it was like mixed green.
yeah, a lot of wheat and stuff. Just because it was the
Wheat,
first year.
turnip.
Well, it's the first year we brush
clover.
hog it and turned it over, so it was just some we threw down and hoped grew.
Actually, we planted that in the rain, so it came up like right away. And
Yeah, it came up.
it came up
quick, and
before
then-
it burnt really up.
Yeah, I mean, it only got a couple inches tall, but was enough to get them in there. That bed to feed pattern in early season, and I think it was really exciting this year because we took on both the Adam and Alan, both of you guys, to film this year, and kind of started hanging out and getting stuff in the works. So it was really exciting to have someone besides me, Landon, and Spencer to connect on stuff like this. And it was exciting whenever we received the call and the text that she had knocked one down that early, because usually we're either a late season or it seems like we kill them in the rut or something. But so it was exciting that you guys got on one early this year.
Oh yeah, and those early season bucks are a lot more predictable than when you get further in the year. Even once acorns start dropping, I mean, it's you flip of a coin honestly on where you think a deer could be showing up or not. So yeah, that was but yeah, the summer paid off, and we ended up getting a spot where these deer really like to cater around, and kept them pretty tight. Probably within, honestly, I think some of the neighbors sent in some photos, and they didn't go much more than, I would say, living within about a 400 acre parcel, maybe even less.
Yeah, maybe
honest.
even less than that. Honestly,
Yeah, they stayed pretty close, so that was good. And then, man, who else? And then Spencer, you started early. I mean, hell, your food plot's still killing it right now.
Oh yeah, I think
Still green as can be.
I was gonna say I think Spencer probably had the best plot of all year. I guess just location wise, it being that close to the river and the amount of moisture it had down there. And hell, you planted it in the rain. Like it seemed like we planted all our plots this year. But yeah, Spencer's plot as of right now is still it's probably 10 inches tall and green.
It's probably still up to my knees.
Yeah, I would say it's 10, 12 inches tall, which we haven't had the cold weather to really knock it down like it usually is this time of year, but it's got, giant bulbs on it. So it's only a matter of time.
And it's still green, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I think maybe I need to go to church more or something, because every time I plant, it's like no rain in the forecast for 2 months.
Well, it didn't rain. It didn't rain on it. It rained while you were planting, and then it got a couple sprinkles on it, and that was it. But
I don't know what the answer is. The rain dance.
But I know Spencer's got
Or
a lot
something.
to talk about with the one particular deer he was chasing. But before we get to that, you hunt a lot of public. So what was kind of your summer expectations going into this year on all the public ground you had scouted?
Yeah, 2022, I had been hunting I would say about a 400 acre and a 600 acre parcel of public land located near my home turf and residence, and I had a few deer on there that I knew were going to be kind of sticking around. This part of the property is that I typically hunt. We're talking, a mile and a half, 2 miles from where you can park your truck and walk in.
Oh yeah,
So,
you get back in there.
yeah. So thankfully, I could rely on the fact just out of pure laziness for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They weren't going to walk that far back and really like spook a lot of the deer. And I kind of knew her.
You're an absolute fucking unit.
I try my best. And this area definitely puts you to the test with just getting there and getting good access and not busting deer out. And then, of course, finding some good bedding where I knew that they would be kind of located. Or at least, honestly, I was mainly worried about hunting does. And the reason why I was trying to hunt does out there, specifically public land, is whenever that early rut starts to kick in, when I know these deer start to start frequenting this area of public land, those does are going to bring those bucks right in. And that's exactly what happened this last year, which we can always talk about later. But
yeah, we'll
I
get
just
into that.
knew going in I needed to have some cameras set up on some of these public properties, just to see what was moving through, even just periodically.
Yeah,
because I knew if they were moving in periodically, not a great pattern. They'd be coming and chasing does, and like I said, that fit the script this last year. And
no doubt. And I think one of the reasons we really gravitated towards bringing you on the team was your past success of hunting public is. You had such a great knowledge of getting on these mature deer on public, and I think that was a great attribute to bring to the team to kind of.
Why? He's another Josh Bomar.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like Adam, he could go to a place if there's not a tree worthy of a deer stand. He'll go walk his happy ass 100 yards and grab a tree that'll hold a deer
and
stand,
plant it there.
pull it up out of the ground and go put it in the ground over where he needs it.
I don't know if I'd be that committed.
Yeah, no doubt. But no, this is Spencer's summer expectations is kind of what I'm excited to get into, because one particular deer that whatever he's been after, I say we've been after just because, me and Lana have sat beside him. I don't know how many times and filmed this deer, watched it from a mile away. So I'll kind of let you take over, but going into this year, your biggest expectations was waiting on one deer to show up on camera.
Pretty much. I mean, where do you want me to start with it?
Well, I mean, I guess we can start with, you really didn't have, you had a couple smaller places to hunt that really didn't have. Well, I guess, you did have that other shooter that ended up getting killed, but mainly this year was going to be dedicated almost to
curls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did crabs get shot?
No, Krebs did. No,
He's still alive.
He's still alive, but the other big one.
It's a miracle he didn't get killed. Like 6 other deer got killed over there.
Yeah.
All the smaller ones got killed, but him.
That's odd.
Yeah, kind of weird. But
shout out to the neighbors that kill everything over there.
Shout out to the neighbors that kill everything everywhere. But I guess the summer started out watching the corn not grow.
Yeah.
The deer just literally coming out there and eating dirt. I don't know how many times I sat out there and it was just straight dirt up on the mound.
Yeah. No, it was, that's kind of what, we were talking about your food plot. That's what led into planting that food plot, was because the farmer's corn was so, it was 10 or 12 inches tall all the way up until.
What time of the year?
This was like August.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, poor. And
when
so
it should be like 3 foot tall by
chest
then.
high.
Yeah, but we had such a drought this year. We had
No, we didn't expect the corn to do anything. So that's
I
why,
figured he would till it under, and that was going to be it.
Spencer approached the farmer about, and I'll let him tell it, but he had approached the farmer about planting this back section that he doesn't. He usually plants it, but it doesn't do anything, or the deer eat it all.
If it rains, it gets washed out. So,
Yeah.
he doesn't make any money on it. But if it does grow, or, and then it doesn't rain, it's either it rains a bunch and that corner washes out, or it doesn't rain and that spot doesn't grow. Lucky enough, this year it didn't flood it out. Otherwise, my acres worth of turnips would have been to shit.
Yeah.
But
So it was.
No, it wouldn't have went to shit. The carp would have loved it.
Oh, the carp would have sucked it right up.
yeah,
No, but it was a gamble going into this year anyways, because just planting that green plot, we really didn't know, how the deer were going to react to it, whether some of them would stay or they, on this, it's such a small parcel, a lot of them leave and go, call it a mile or 3/4 of a mile to, to crop. But especially with his corn being so bad, we thought our only chance of Curl staying in there, or, even killing him early season or late season, was to have a good green plot. And so you planted it
I think that it grew too fast, honestly,
Yeah, I think it did.
because it
What a horrible problem.
Well,
got to the point where the leaves were just so big that they didn't. Eat 'em.
I'm no scientist, but I'm pretty sure when it grows so fast and leaves get so big, they won't eat them because I'd call it for whatever reason. I don't really know. But it seems like our plots up north have done the same things. When they grow, they get a lot of rain. They grow super tall, super quick. Late season, they'll come in and smoke it. They'll eat the turnip bulbs, and they'll eat the leaves whenever that frost hits. But it seems like if they grow super big early, and I mean it wasn't even seasoned yet, and you couldn't walk through your plot because it was up to your waist.
It was like 103 degrees outside, and they were still growing.
Yeah, it was weird.
Every day.
A lot of that is because the leaves and stuff are pretty bitter to them until they get a first frost, and something happens with the amount of sugar.
Yeah,
and they become sweet basically afterwards. And so I think what we need to plan better, and I see a lot of people do, is plant things at different times.
Yeah, what we should have done looking at it now is we should have planted it later.
Plant part of it for later season.
Yes.
But then also go in there 2 or 3 weeks before season and plant again. That way when season starts, it would have been that tender, fresh green.
Yes. It would have been tender green stuff. And not saying that you would have, killed the deer then, but
I don't know if that would have mattered, so much this year, because they still really didn't eat it.
No. Which sometimes when you plant green plots like that on places that have never had green plots, the deer, not saying they don't know how to react, but they're not used to that. They're not used to the plot being there.
Eat it. They could have used it as bedding.
Oh, no, they could have bedded in it.
Well, yeah, that was up to his neck.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we were getting pictures of deer walking through it, up to their neck, which, I mean, the plot turned out good, but I still have to believe at some point there's got to be, there's a lot of deer trickling back in there now, but not necessarily what I thought.
Is he trickling back in there, Ernie?
Yeah, he came back a couple days before Christmas.
Has he been in there frequently?
No.
Nope, just showed back up
just
that one time.
That's so strange. Huh.
Yeah.
You'd think with all the food that's limited at this point.
He really doesn't live that far away either, is what's crazy. Up and over the hill is where, I mean.
Well, Michael's got alfalfa in.
Oh, yeah.
That's not going to help anything at all.
No, that's not.
It's going to kill it more than anything.
Huh. But, yeah, so, I mean, your whole, going into this year was pretty much curls, and you were picking up different places here and there where you had some,
Up-and-comers.
Yeah, up-and-comers, but other people were hunting it, and, just kind of shitty situations that you had to work around them, and they had to work around you. But, yeah, really, we kind of expected Curls to do what he did, I guess, going into season. We kind of knew you were only going to have a really short window to get on him, and it proved to be.
That's true.
Yeah, it would prove to be the same as last year, which we talk about all the time, that last year's information, based on trail cameras, and he did the same exact thing.
We got to get in there like mid-August.
Yeah, we need an early velvet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That would be nice.
but honestly, like at least the first 3 days of season. I mean, honestly, about the same time frame that Addie and I had got on her deers.
Yeah,
same time frame you had.
Yeah, that first
3 days.
of season.
Well, he was there opening morning. We went second morning, and he was gone.
Well, a lot of deer, some honestly, once they shed velvet, stick to a pattern for. I mean,
Yeah, and that's how
a
it was.
select
Yeah, it's at 3 or 4 days.
But some deer, they can be consistent, as Curls was for 2 weeks straight, every morning, every evening, and then he disappeared. And when they disappear like that,
They're shedding.
they're shedding. And I don't know what happens or goes on whenever they shed. The boost in testosterone.
I think it's that first boost of testosterone.
Or something, but it's the same when a deer sheds. It's like they lose everything. They just come out early, do whatever they want.
They become, I'm not going to say they become stupid, but they almost become stupid
Yeah,
again
they
because
do.
the testosterone goes so low, they almost go back into that early season bed to food pattern, and they don't care as much.
Even
they're
like,
slaves to their stomach at that point. They're going to eat and survive, and that's it.
a velvet deer is usually very consistent. like you said, fairly stupid. And then it's like once they shed that velvet, there's very few that don't change patterns. And
Well, yeah, I mean, you just look at social media. I mean, you see it year after year after year, all these people, well, hell, how many people do we know? Oh, look at it, velvet buck. They're watching in the evening. They won't, not that they never kill it, but very few of them kill it the first 3 or 4 days.
And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of deer that will shed and be very consistent to a soybean field or a food plot, as Addie's deer was that she killed. But there is a lot of deer out there that will be super consistent and then all of a sudden disappear, and they're out shedding velvet. And it might be 4 or 5 days, but when you get that next picture, they're hard horned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say Addie's deer. Shoot, I got him one day, just like a piece of velvet on his main beam, just kind of starting to fall off. Then I didn't see him for, honestly, it's probably about 2 or 3 days. And then he showed back up, and everything was stripped clean off of him at that point.
Yep.
But he got right back on that pattern. I was hoping that he would be back on, or that wasn't going to be a fun start to the season. Just, after all the excitement building up from seeing him almost like clockwork every single, honestly, I probably got, 3,000 or 4,000 pictures of him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I got tons of them. And that was in a month, of just getting photos, because, I didn't get any photos of them throughout the, early to mid parts of summer. It was mainly that, August moving into early fall kind of time frame that, he was around, but he didn't make it much into fall, did he?
No, not very long.
Couple steps.
That's about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we'll get into, kind of me and Landon's, our summer expectations going on from last year. We, like he said, our season pretty well went exactly how we had it scripted out to go, aside from a couple things here and there. But, excuse me, for the most part, going into the year, we knew, as long as they didn't get hit by a car or EHD or something, we knew the deer that we were going to have coming into this year, just because we've hunted the property so long. And so when we set out cameras, the first time we pulled them, we were we fully expected to know what was on there, and it was exactly what we thought. We had every single deer that we had on there from last year was back.
I believe majority.
Yeah,
every one.
I
of them,
can't say
every one of them. Every one of them but
90%.
one.
Yeah.
I believe. Well, 2. Maddie killed the one at the end of the season, but other than that, every one of them but one showed back up, and I believe every one of them but the 2 that we killed are
but
still alive.
Expectations going into it, I thought they were going to be. I mean, they were both really big. They were both big deer. 4.5, 5.5, or 5.5, 6.5, whatever they're going to end up coming back when we send the teeth in. But with the dry summer we had, I should have expected it, but I was hoping they would be, a little bigger than what they were. And
I don't know that any of our deer really put a whole lot of inches on this year.
I don't think they did. And I don't think Curls really did either.
I don't think we had a deer that put on over, I'm going to call it
5, 7 inches
10,
at most.
10 at the most.
Yeah. Which is,
and on an average year, what, 15 to 20?
Nah, 10, 12, 15 is,
I thought Rick really said that 15 to 20 is...
I don't know. Call it, well, yeah.
Of course, I don't know. We've had
15
deer,
inches.
We've had deer at between 4 to 5 go backwards.
Yeah. And then next year we'll blow back up
and then
again.
blow back up.
So I think just with, had they have actually made it through this year, I think they would have, if we had a wet spring and wet summer, I think they would have been really big next year. But pretty much, we knew exactly
Too late for next year.
Yeah, it's too late now. They're dead. But we, we kind of knew once we had pulled them cards, the 2 deer that were going to be on the hit list, and we knew, with the season setup we had with Kansas and Colorado, we were going to be limited on days that we were actually going to be able to hunt here.
Yeah, really. And we took advantage of the first, good cold front that we had.
Yeah, so Addie struck first, so, she, we had the big mishap in Kansas, but, Addie killed her deer, and then,
Still a sore subject.
we were, yeah.
Because, kidding. Because, when you guys were in Kansas, what was that date?
The 20th or something is when we were in
Kansas when Addie killed her deer?
That's what I'm... Because I went
No,
to
I think
Spencer.
that's right before you
No, right
left.
before we went because Spencer came and took pictures
Yeah.
because I think we were packing up and heading.
You guys were busy.
Out.
I know that because you guys would have been there if
Yeah.
you guys weren't busy.
Yeah,
I mean, heck,
remember.
we were right here anyways. So
Yeah, but no, so I mean, she had kicked off season, so we knew, even with what we had seen in Kansas or what had happened in Kansas, it was, already looking to be a really good year. And so, I guess that October 7th, me and Spencer drove up, and I was able to kill Deuce, the deer that we had, we knew we had wanted to target. So that was. Oh, I didn't know what you're.
Landon's showing me a video of Addie's, that buck that we're talking about, currently in the.
The taxidermist sent me a video of Addie's deer.
Oh.
I just opened it actually.
It looks freaking good.
Yeah, it looks pretty sick. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, me and Spencer rolled up to the farm up there and was able to knock Deuce down October 7th. So I mean, not that I expected to kill him, but that was kind of what we had expected.
That's great.
Yeah, it was the target deer we went in to kill. And
It's kind of unreal to think about it because, Addie killed that one on the 17th, and then, not even a few weeks later, you got one on the ground the 7th, and it just kind of catapulted from there.
yeah. And so the whole time we were waiting on Alan to shoot something.
I can't believe he didn't. He was just shooting birds all.
I mean,
True.
I
True.
didn't really want to go
No.
after anything on
No.
the farm.
I'm just giving you
Sure.
shit,
No,
but
you're good.
no, we like I said, we kind of knew your farm was going to be, very few days hunted just because of the deer that were on it, and looking forward to next year. But
Yeah, next year I'll definitely hunt it a lot harder.
yeah, but after I killed Deuce, we were pretty well straight off to Colorado to elk hunt, which was not a disaster of a trip, but a disaster of a trip at the same time. I mean, we probably should have spent that time here doing something, but it was cool just to get out there with Grandpa.
It all worked out in the end, though. We
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on the mountain with Grandpa and his brother, and
Yeah,
made
it
it
was
back
more or
here
less
and-
just a memory trip, just to kind of go out there and hang out. But
we
I
made
get-
it back here, and basically the next weekend we hit the woods. And
no,
Was
Max killed the next weekend.
Max
Yeah.
and Adam killed the same night. Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Max called and said, "Hey, I just smoked one," and then we were on the phone with Max. And I'm like, Adam's calling, and neither did I know you or Max were going hunting that night. And you called, and I was like, well, I don't know. Adam's calling me. I answered the phone. Dude, I just shot one. I was like, what? You're hunting too? Like,
What day?
it was Halloween night. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
It was October 30th
Yeah.
because we found him on Halloween, the
Yeah.
31st.
Oh yeah, I didn't go to work that day.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of us did.
I did. Bastards.
Losers.
I know, right? But it was a good time, that's for sure. Yeah, I think that sit in particular, I did not expect. I mean, I wasn't really getting deer on camera from the year prior on this public land spot until first week of November. Honestly, like 5th, 6th, 7th, like around that
Yeah.
red moon phase is when I would start see them. So I went up like maybe I'll see something. So I wasn't worried about getting anybody in there to film, which obviously that's when you probably want to bring the camera.
Yeah.
Do you use a climber or do you use a?
I was using
Saddle?
saddle stand.
No,
so.
he climbs up the tree like a bear. Sits with his arms around it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have seen the tree he had to get in because he'd take a little one over.
He had to get in a big tree.
Jokes aside, though, it was a fat freaking tree, a very healthy looking tree.
How is that saddle hunting? Is it?
Oh, I love it, especially
too.
out. For instance, I can, I could find a ridge that I want to go hunt on a, middle of nowhere, public land, and chances are, if I was bringing out a big bulky stand, I'm not going to find anything to put that in.
Right. So you strap your diaper on and walk in.
I strap my all right, Joe. Yeah, that expensive diaper I strap on real quick. Luckily, I get more uses out of it than just one. But thankfully, getting out there, I mean, I would prefer that Allen just because 1-2 miles of walking, you're carrying maybe, even counting your bow weight and everything,
Yeah.
water and everything, you're talking 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Which
Those
is-
climber stands are pretty
Oh, yeah.
bulky and heavy.
And I'll get up in a saddle stand. You give me 10 minutes, and I'll be up, ready, prepared, everything locked and loaded.
Yeah, ready to go.
Yeah.
How much
arrow
How much
rest.
practice does it take?
I'll do it. Usually, I'll wait until about August to start practicing, and I have a couple spots just right near the house that not too many ticks are prowling around,
Oh,
and
shoot.
I'll just go up there a few times just to make sure the equipment
Yeah.
just feels good and everything's tight. And I'll probably just do like 2 or 3 times to go up and down.
Did you get yours off Marketplace or did you get it new?
This one was new, but it was what company? It was Latitude Outdoors.
Oh,
Guys
yeah.
from
Shout out
up-
Latitude.
Yeah, no, they are. I just was looking up the company and saw, the guys that were made it, thought they were cool dudes and
That's
had a
who,
good passion. And
Aaron Blicey, the Fall Podcast, that's who he works for.
yeah, no,
That's all they use.
I'd love to work with them too. But
yeah.
yeah, so that's been really great for me getting out there and killing more of these public land deer. And like I said, the last 2 or 3 years I've been hitting public land a lot more heavily than years prior, especially utilizing the early season bow, just because the amount of people out there is fairly limited, and you can.
Yeah, it goes very, very downhill once rifle season.
Oh
happens,
yeah,
no
and
doubt.
I pull mostly I pull my stands once rifle season happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
No
just-
Orange Army marches in and you're done.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much.
I think we tried it on opening day, rifle season. Addie, my wife, and myself, and I think I set her up in a really good ravine, and she kept saying, "I keep hearing deer fighting." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think they're fighting. I
Yeah.
think you're hearing somebody else calling right now." And
Yep.
bummer. She still saw some deer, but. Of course, these guys are, we're hunting in the woods, and they're hunting these big open fields,
Yeah.
just off the ground, not doing anything, to really work the contours of the land. And I was like, we're just going to get out of here.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. But on the way out, we'll have to save this for story. I saw just a behemoth.
Yeah, I remember you calling and saying how big of a deer you
I
were
was-
seeing.
I was freaking out, though, for a hot second there. In fact, I saw this deer, and he was hot on a doe. And when I come back to the spot after I dropped her off because she needed to leave to get a quick nap in for her, she had a late shift that night. I come back, and there was probably 135-inch, 140-inch 8-pointer standing in that spot, right where I should have just waited. That's what I should have
Yeah.
done. Sorry, Addie. You're gonna have to stick it for a few
you're
more hours right now, and just
36 hours with no sleep.
yeah. So that was
Been there, done that.
yeah. Well, shoot, 36 hours of cakewalk to you now, but well,
Yeah.
shoot. Ever since we went up north to the hunting Iowa, that was well, we were up for 48, 50 hours.
Me
That
and
was-
Adam for like 3 or 4 weekends in a row were just on no sleep, on a full grind, shooting ducks, and it was a lot of fun, but it was pretty rough by the end of it.
But we got it done and filled 1 or 2 limits, I want to say, up there, and considering the circumstances, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, going back to you and Max, whatever, you guys knocked down both your deer in the same night, which I forgot it was even the same night because I know Max, he got done with the job early, and it was wasn't it nasty that night a little bit, kind of chilly, a little bit of mist?
It was
and-
cold.
Yeah,
it was cold.
I'll say it was cold. It was a good cold front, and whatever. Max had called me and said he shot his deer and he watched it die, watch it fall over. So they got it loaded up, but we left yours overnight because we were bringing in a dog.
Yep, that's exactly what
Yeah.
happened. Yeah, my shot on this deer was quartering towards me, and the shot on it just didn't quite make the exit by about an inch, and so
Yeah, good shot. It just whenever you don't have an exit hole, you just
Oh, yeah.
don't get that blood trail.
hit a
And-
good lung. Yeah, just not a good. I mean, just barely almost made it through the other side, and just no blow was coming out.
Yeah.
Probably had like a shampoo travel size bottle of shampoo worth of blood over the last 300 yards, and
and
I spooked him on the way out. Remember,
the weird thing was when you went back in there the next day, which the dog that we brought in there, it's a good dog. Finds
it found a lot of deer this year.
Yeah, find a lot of deer this year, but for whatever reason, it and you didn't even trail the deer or go look for it, but it could not find it.
That's me. I sure have. Actually, yeah, the dog was very experienced. We did everything. Adam did exactly what you're supposed to do, back out, other than bumping the deer on the way out, which couldn't really help and didn't know.
Yeah, because he ran the way
But
you'd come
you didn't
from. But
track the deer really at all. Went up to the spot of the hit, found a little blood, marked it, completely backed out, and we brought in a dog, and it just, for whatever reason, just was having some trouble really finding it. But I looked at Adam and I said, dude, I really don't know. It's hard to go against the dog because they are way better than we are. I mean, they sniff basically the gland between the
it's a gland between the hooves, and whenever they get
wounded,
whenever they're mortally wounded, they give off
out.
that pheromone. So that everyone thinks, the
blood,
trails off the blood, it trails off the scent of the hoof, which is why they can smell it.
And why they tell you if you grid search or walk around, a dog can't run because you can
step on
in
that
it
pheromone,
and spread it.
and walk around,
and so the dog has no clue.
It makes it really hard
where to go. But we did exactly as you should, and the deer just, for whatever reason, the dog couldn't find it. So Adam looked at me, and I remember telling him, like, man, I really, from the sign we have, I feel like this deer could be alive, but if this was my deer, I'd be out here day and night trying to find it, and, just what do you want to do? And he was like, man, I really, by the shot I had, I'm confident that this deer is dead. And I remember then, like, well, we're not going to leave here until we have a deer. We're
you guys
or my boss is calling me, telling me to get my ass back to
You're
work.
going to do your due diligence, and put in. Hell, you guys were going to look the rest of the. Oh, Alan, your phone's giving some nasty feedback.
And the
there you go.
The part of it was we kind of started grid searching, and that's just something that. Grid searching, you just never know what direction deer go. That's one thing I kind of hate to do. Last resort. But I remember walking a little bit, and I'm like, man, this deer could have went any direction. So I remember going back and saying I'd rather spend my time on hands and knees finding little drops of blood to point me in the right direction, to hopefully find that next blood. And that's what we did. I went back, and I ended up finding the next blood and trailing it for.
I think from the last blood that we got from the dog, where the dog kind of diverged and left from there, we probably tracked 30 more yards of blood. And within those 30 yards of blood, it was either you kept going along this ridge line that I had, planned out for kind of exiting to keep our set down, excuse me, or going straight into the bedding area. And Max was there with us, and I started going along the ridge line, and he went to the bedding area, and shoot, he was probably walking in there for about 30 seconds, and all of a sudden I hear him just holler like, hey, found him.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible that we're just finding pen drops of blood, and from the last part we had blood, the deer could have went any direction. And so whenever we started back on the trail and finding that little bit of blood, we got to a point that was like, okay, the deer could have only went two directions. We narrowed it down to he could have went up the hill basically or along the ridge. And so we struggled to find next blood. We walked another 30, 40 yards ahead just trying to find that next piece, and Max stumbled upon him, and it was a great feeling.
Then pulling him out.
That's
when the
work started.
And it ended up being a heck of a shot.
Oh yeah, that's when he started to bleed. When I pulled him out of his bed, and he bled everywhere. Yeah, but what I think happened though, and to provide a little bit more context to the story, is I had to back out, and the only way to back out from this, from my point of view, is there was public land to my south, public land to my east, and the only way to get out of there was to go up the creek bed. So I had to inevitably bump this deer out because he bedded within 100 yards of where I'd shot him. And just knowing that and hearing him go up and over the hill, just kind of breathing heavily, I knew he was dead, and it wouldn't have been an issue if I didn't bump him. But unfortunately, it is what it is. That happened just with, hunting public land. I mean, you just...
Yeah, sometimes that's the way it happens. I mean, you can't do, anything about it.
Yeah, but we didn't give up, and that's one thing. Even the dog didn't find him, and dogs have off days. I'm not gonna tell you that they don't, but even though the dog didn't...
Again, it goes back to whenever there's no, we still, even leading up to then, haven't had the moisture. Dogs don't smell well without moisture.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think, it didn't really rain, but, had you had even a slight bit of mist, that evening or throughout the day, they would have picked it up like that.
Those pheromones would
yes.
have been...
Yeah. It maximizes it so much whenever you've had moisture recently and bring a dog.
But as hunters, I mean, we're going to do everything we possibly can to retrieve an animal.
Yeah.
And even though, like I said, the dog didn't find it, when you told me you were confident in the shot, I was all in for whatever it's going to take to recover that deer.
And you were definitely still right about it being a bit of a liver shot too. So I hit a single lung and then hit completely through the liver. So it was, the amount of blood that had pooled up in the cavity was obviously more than lethal.
So why is the rest of the table laughing right now? Tell us all about it, because apparently something's funny over here.
Oh shit! Oh, Alan. God damn it. No, I guess kind of getting back into it, I had to mute my mic. I was fucking laughing so hard.
Were you laughing at me?
I was laughing at Alan.
Oh, I was coughing.
No, I was laughing at Alan. But yeah, I mean, that kind of already going into, we haven't even hit the rut yet, and we had already, collectively as a team, Max killed, I killed, Addie killed, you killed. We already had 4 bucks on the ground, and
I unfortunately did not in Kansas.
Landon could have in Kansas, but again, we epically failed miserably.
I don't know if I really like the state of I do like the state of Kansas, I guess I should say. I don't know if Kansas likes me.
Yeah, that's probably the right way to put it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we're going to get struck by lightning if we go back out there, I think.
If I'm with you, if you guys are by yourselves, you'll be fine.
We're going to put in for tags this next year, and we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully,
I'll probably be the only one to draw again, and
that's probably exactly.
Yeah, but I guess leading into the rut, this is when I guess we were kind of, almost playing with house money, because I killed Deuce, which was leading into Landon killing the 5.9 because he started showing up fucking all over the place since Deuce was out of the way. So we just knew going, before rut had started, going into the rut November 1st and on, we knew if we hunted enough, the 5.9 was, we were going to kill him.
We also had another deer that showed up that we called him Spork, and he was just a big...
Oh, yeah, just a big giant 8-pointer. Old 7 or 8.
Yeah, just a brute of a deer, though. He was almost like fat. Like, just big-bodied stud of an 8. And he was in there a ton.
Oh, yeah.
And we definitely thought that we could go up there and with the right weather.
And get on one of them bucks. But I know, Alan's farm at that time, your buck pictures were starting to pick up. I mean, I know you at sometimes had probably 10 or 12 different bucks a day, whether they were 3 or 2, 3, 4-year-olds, but you had a lot of cool deer showing up throughout the days leading into the rut and into the rut that just were them, still them next year's deer. But, your farm started lighting up in the rut, a lot of new deer showing up, but still young.
Right. Yeah.
And you had that great encounter and almost killed the deer.
Yeah, you did almost kill that mature deer. I forgot about that.
Yeah. If that doe wasn't there, he'd be dead. But
yeah, when Drake was filming you.
It's always the girls, man. It's always the girls.
Yeah. If it would have been so cool had Drake laid down the footage of you killing that deer, dude.
it'd been...
Shout out to Drake.
Yeah, shout out. We're gonna get Drake on probably
You're-
next
I
week.
think
We have to
next
get
weekend.
Drake,
Next
yeah.
weekend it'll be.
I think Drake and Steve are coming off
Drake,
next
Steve.
weekend, so you guys will probably hear that like second or third week of January probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna be doing some waterfowl stuff with them up there here next week.
Looking
But-
forward to that.
But Drake actually, he played a huge role with us this year too, just because he stepped up as
As a cameraman.
yeah, as a cameraman to the plate and was willing to sacrifice some of his waterfowl season to come, either take pictures of you hunting, your kill or, film it. So
Yeah, he went to video.
Yeah, I think this next year, I think I'll leave him alone. I don't know. I had to take him away from waterfowl. I could tell
that's
it really
rough for
bothered
Drake.
him.
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
we went and bummed on his couch for a couple nights, and I remember he had like this 180-inch 10-point. He goes, yeah, you can just take it with you. I don't, I just care about ducks nowadays.
That's Frank.
Yeah, that's right. That's Frank. But it just goes to show, like, this man will go to no, like, he would.
He just recently went out to New York and then turned
Yeah.
around and went and drove. I mean, like, it's not that far to the Mississippi River.
Oh, the dude's an absolute duck hunting fucking machine.
Oh yeah, he would go to some very unsafe areas if there was good waterfowl hunting.
Oh, dude, if there was fucking ducks in East St. Louis on a pond, dude's going to shoot them. Maybe.
No,
I don't think he'd make it there.
No, but like I said, shout out to Drake because he really helped us this year. Man, he stepped up to the plate whenever we needed someone to film you for them days in the rut, and he was there. So that was really cool to see him do that, and we can't express enough how grateful we are to have him do that.
I'll come video next year, Big Al.
Yeah.
I
Whenever
can
you
come
get
video
them,
you.
whenever you got 2,200 inches next year, we're gonna come film you.
Yeah. Whenever you're chasing that 200 next year, I'll make sure to make the drive up.
Okay.
All right. And we'll
But-
make sure that you kill him.
So just to continue on from there, I guess leading into the rut, that's kind of when we expected, either Curls to slip up or the other deer. What do we call him?
Splits.
Oh yeah, we expected Splits to slip up,
and Splits did end up.
Splits did end up slipping up, but so another buddy had called.
Just not to Spencer.
Yeah, just not to someone else, unfortunately. That just. But no.
That's the wrong one.
Oh. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that one was for the other guy that ended up getting it.
But yeah, well, we talked about it on last week's podcast. It's a fucking shame because it was a big deer. It was probably 165-inch deer.
Yeah, probably mid-60s.
Yeah, mid-60s deer. I mean, 4 or 5, probably 5-year-old
Good deer, yeah.
Yeah, nice deer. And the dude just whacks the antlers off of it and sticks it on a little wooden
And
pedal.
when did that happen? Was that like second
Right,
day?
yeah.
2 days before rifle season.
2 days before
days
rifle
before.
season. So going into rifle season here, which is what, the 14th or
15th.
15th. Going into rifle season, we were like, oh, Spencer puts enough time in down, where he's hunting. He's probably gonna shoot splits or shoot a deer that comes by this spot. And we didn't find out till the second week into rifle season that he had been killed.
Didn't you go take a shit and the deer showed up in front of your deer stand?
Yeah. You.
No,
That's
I
when
went home. It was hotter than hell. That was
first
what's that?
weekend.
Was first week?
Yeah, because what's his name came down and was filming you.
Yeah, Doug.
Yeah, Doug was filming you. Yeah,
But
shout
no,
out
I
Doug.
didn't go take a shit. We went home to grab. He's got diabetes, so he's got to have a snack with him at all times. So he ran out of snacks. So we
You
ran
guys
home.
didn't bring snacks.
You guys are going to hell.
You needed some insulin with you, huh?
Yeah. Well, he's got one of them freaking big pods on his stomach and puts one on his arm.
God dang.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's got it bad, like bad.
Yeah,
You know,
but
we
I,
went home to grab because he needed more
That's
sugar.
okay.
no, you guys,
I'll pray for you, Doug. 'Cause there's assholes sitting around this table.
God, you guys got out. You guys got out, and I think that's when Landon shot.
It was the same morning.
Yeah, same morning. Landon had killed, and you got out at like 11, and I think it was like 11:15 or 11:30. The Tacticam went off, and it at the
look
time,
like him.
at
But
the time, we thought it was splits, and he was far.
I remember that
and
text.
it was a nice deer.
well,
Don't
I
get
was
me
on the
wrong.
phone with you.
Yeah, or text or you call me or something like that. And
No,
he's
you
like,
called me. You're like, "Oh, I just seen a big one." I'm like, "Adam, I'm sorry, but I gotta,
gotta
go.
go, yeah.
I'm running back down the hill. I gotta go."
And so, I mean, at the time, we did think it was splits, but it ended up it would have been a borderline shooter either
And
way.
after that, we didn't kill anything after that, right? None of us.
No, that's kind of
Yeah.
what I was gonna get ready to get into, but you know, I was gonna let Spencer say about kind of trying to we're gonna try and pick up a lease or something next year that we can hunt with him, because it's so hard on some of these small permission places to keep either the neighbors from shooting the deer or just to keep even have sole permission on it and target the deer with other people hunting. It's pretty damn hard. So that's, I guess you never know. I guess you could still kill something here if it does show up down in your food plot. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna give up on it, but I had one permission piece of the neighbor killed 5 3-year-olds this year.
right,
Like good looking, yeah, good looking 3-year-olds.
Stay away from my farm. There ain't no deer up there.
and so I mean that already was just tough. And a lot some of our buddies were hunting close to it that killed deer that we were happy for them that they killed, but a lot of deer that in our eyes didn't need to be killed had been.
Well, it was a lot of the ones that they walked up to and they're like, well, shit,
Yeah,
I thought it was bigger than what it was.
right.
That's one thing. Deer always look bigger on the hoof. I mean, I've came to learn in as many cameras as we run, I generally know how big a deer is before we ever even see it.
Yeah.
Just from the experience. But that's all we do for years. Have been running cameras year round and looking at deer. But there's a lot of people out there that will see a deer and they do look bigger on hoof. And when they obviously shoot them and
Well, their
go up to 'em,
adrenaline's
yeah.
fucking rushing so much. You're like, oh, a buck.
Yeah.
8 points. Let's kill it,
I mean, I don't know how many times I've showed videos of deer that we passed, and people are like, "You're crazy for that. There's no way I'd pass that." That what is that, 106-inch deer? And I'm like,
Well, I think a lot of
140
what
inch
gets
deer.
people too, and especially in rifle season, is when the deer are borderline, they look at them, they may go, but as soon as the deer turns and faces away and they get the back view of it and it looks like they're 30 inches
they
wide.
always look bigger walking away.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, I messed up, I better shoot it, and they end up shooting it. But
one thing that I hate too is when someone will tell you, "Well, I shot it because if I didn't, my neighbor's going to shoot it." Well, you are that neighbor. Like,
Yeah.
stop shooting it. If you can't, you'll never have big deer, or kill big deer if you live by that.
I mean, that's just like.
But is there also like maybe a time frame, not to cut you off, or like,
No, Adam, there is not.
or maybe not a time frame, but I should say like an acreage point. Like when is it, versus shooting a deer and saying the neighbor's going to shoot it, versus saying, all right, I'm going to let it pass
Yeah,
and maybe it'll come back. If you're
I-
hunting,
I agree what you're
5,
saying.
10, 15 acres versus, 300
But
acres.
I feel
and-
like you got to take that chance. My uncle killed a
Okay.
200 on 40 acres, and I killed a 174-inch deer on 30 acres. And there's a lot of people that hunt around there.
What about
it's very,
4?
it's very person to person. But I mean, you take, I guess, not any of us, but most of us sitting here, if it doesn't matter if we're hunting 2,000 acres or 2 acres. I think if a 5 or 6 year old deer comes by, whether on the 2 acres or 2,000, we're going to shoot it. And if a younger deer comes by, we're probably not going
All jokes aside, Adam, I would tell you and anyone out there that it depends on what makes you happy.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing changes in my eyes whether I'm hunting 2,000 acres or 4 acres. If that deer doesn't make me happy and I'd rather see him grow, I'm gonna take my odds and pass that deer.
Yeah, ultimately, even like the 5 3-year-olds or whatever that all Spencer's neighbors shot this year. Ultimately, I don't give a fuck if they kill them or not. It's if they're happy with it or not. And the problem, where the problem arises to me, is when they all say, "Well, what yeah."
when they say, yeah, I really needed the meat.
Yeah, well,
Or the first thing out of their mouth was,
well, he's
"Well, I
not
thought
as
it was
big.
big,"
Yeah,
or-
not as big as I thought.
Instead of, dang, I killed a pretty good deer. It probably could have been bigger.
They're never happy with it because they know that they probably should have let it go.
Yeah.
And big deer are. Everyone wants to kill a giant deer. Big deer are just way more interesting than a fucking a 6-pointer or whatever 4-pointer spike. They're 160-inch deer is always going to be way more interesting. You can't tell me. I don't care if it's a first-time hunter or a dude that's 80 years old. You can't tell me that them sitting there would be happier to shoot a spike than they would a 160-inch deer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you say you're fucking meat hunting, there's more meat on a 160-inch fucking 6-year-old than there is a fucking 1-year-old spike.
Mm-hmm. But it's not as tender.
Yeah.
Buck, they probably taste better.
But the bucks just eat so much better than the does do.
Oh, yeah, right.
Can't eat the antlers.
Can't eat the antlers. Yeah. Well, that was I'm sure we missed a few things on the recap, but
yeah.
We got hunters.
just segueing into the kind of the next little, bit and piece, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about it down the road and get into, more depth as we go on with time, as we cruise into spring here soon and start talking turkey hunting. But next year's plan.
Before we get into that, Alan is right. When was that?
That was in October.
That was in October. So, yeah, even going back before the rut when I filmed Hunter kill that deer, that was another big highlight of the season.
170-inch bow kill.
Yeah, 170-inch bow kill at like 4 yards. Pretty freaking insane. I was fortunate enough to be able to take off work then, but, got the call. Good weather, wanted me to go film, and sure enough, it ended up being a stellar night. We seen 2 shooters. The one Hunter shot ended up being, bigger than the original shooter that we seen. It was the first shooter we seen was an older deer, but stellar night, and I got to sit there with Hunter and watch him shoot his biggest deer to date is with a bow, and how it all unfolded at we ended up shooting at like 6 yards was probably
the video was.
The video of the deer walking out of the Milo and coming in, I mean, it looks like it's out of a movie. I mean, it's just picture perfect and was super, super cool. So I was, really excited, even if the season ended right there, I was just excited that, we got that opportunity to film Hunter kill that giant. So
As a whole, we killed a lot of
we were a
this
part
year.
of a lot of big deer getting shot this year.
We didn't kill a deer as a whole, and people who we film with and for, we didn't kill a deer under 4 years old.
Yeah. I mean, we put some deer down this year as a team, especially. I mean, we were a part of a lot of really cool.
And we passed some really big deer. We didn't talk about. We took a youth hunter out and never killed a buck before, and I kind of told him, the farm we were hunting, that there's a lot of big deer in there, but there was 2 that we wanted killed, and
he was fine. He was fine.
He was cool with it. And out of all deer, we had 145, 150-inch 3 to 4 year old come out that we passed.
3-year-old.
Yeah, that we passed the previous year, and comes out and feeds at 20 yards, and the kid was just super ecstatic to see
he was
the
great.
deer.
Yeah, he was really grateful just to even see the deer, because where he's at down where he hunts, if you even see an antlered buck, he's on super, super high pressured ground. So even for him to see a buck like that was special for him.
And a lot of people can say, oh, you kid, you should have let him shoot it. It takes a long time to grow deer like that, and it's just, as much time and money as we put in, it's just a deer that we wanted to let go, and the kid completely understood. He was
fine with it.
Yeah, he was, and he just couldn't have been happier just to see it. And we saw a lot of other deer, a few deer that we might have let him shoot, actually, but that big deer stayed there for an hour and a half just eating in the standing corn, and I was like, buddy, with that deer there, I just didn't want to shoot anything with him in the field. But it was an awesome night, and I guess the next weekend after that, we ended up having an encounter with the Fine 9 before I
that's when
killed him.
Yeah, all these little bits and pieces of stories keep creeping up. I forget how long of a season we had.
Oh, I know, dude. The season goes by in a blink of an eye, but there's so many little little details, like you said, that you miss out on, and you just, they just happen to pop back up into your head whenever you start.
And as much as we hunt
thinking about
every
everything.
single weekend somewhere and traveling to different states, yeah, by the end of it, it can be pretty. We can be pretty run down, but I really wouldn't trade it for anything. And we're sitting here talking about all the memories that we made and the lessons learned. There's a ton of things that I've learned this year.
Yeah, I guess, at pretty well at this point.
One of them is push the powder out of your muzzleloader every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Just shoot it every time just to make sure it goes off every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Or buy a new muzzleloader.
Yeah, one of the two. We should have just bought
You
muzzleloader.
borrowed one.
My muzzleloader's lucky it ain't in a ditch somewhere in Kansas right now.
Yeah.
But that kind of that really wraps up, I guess, most of the deer killing as far as this year goes. We are fortunate enough, me, Landon, and Spencer filmed the Field of Fork event and took some people out, and a lot of new people got to kill deer. So that was also a big highlight of this year, watching the new hunters get interested in it and kill deer. So I guess at this point we'll probably just get into, some goals for next year. Deer that have made it through that. We do want to get on next year, and how we kind of plan to set up some different food plots, or set up some different stands and try and kill some of these deer. I think.
Yeah, Alan, what about you for next year? Because I know you got a lot of really good up and coming bucks, and
a lot of plans.
Heck, if they all lived and you got a good food plot, good food source in there, bedding, I think you're probably on the hunt for something pretty good.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of time between now and then. Hopefully nothing, dies from natural causes or whatnot. But I'd say this next coming year really has the best potential, I think, ever within I think 15 years I've been hunting.
If everything plays out the way you want it to, what deer are you looking at? Hopefully, getting some more feedback on camera action, trail cameras I'm speaking on, and then, what's the most ideal situation for you next year if everything plays out the way that you hope it does?
I think best case scenario, I shoot Bubba Gump. Even better case scenario,
Dirk shows back up.
Yeah, Dirk shows back up where I shoot this deer that'll be 6.5 with.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think it's going to be a big changing year for up there, because we're going to
be like a flip of a switch, because
going to be planting more.
We're going to
TSI.
We're going to do
a
shit ton of TSI, shit ton of burn stuff. He's got acres and acres of cedars that just need to be. I'm not saying we're going to clear cut them. We're going to go in. We're going to thin. Call it 65% of them just to start with. Let some of that grass start growing up. Get some natural bedding for him in there where it's right close to his plot. So, I think really next year we're going to
sell Christmas trees off of it so we can get rid of cedars.
Oh, dude, we could sell so many Christmas trees off of it. All the Amish could be. Amish don't celebrate Christmas. Oh, maybe they do. Hell, I don't know. But
they might not celebrate it, but I'm sure they'd sell some trees.
Yeah, they'd probably take the trees and build a house out of them. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
But no, we got a bunch of big plans to put in place up there, and I think
I think the best thing that we did this year was, getting that soft cover redneck.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the Egyptian wheat was phenomenal.
Your access was perfect,
wonderful. I think we could tweak it a little bit, but I think it was probably as good as it's going to get for now.
Yeah, and looking at
we're on the right path.
Yeah, I say we're definitely on the right path. And looking at the trail cameras, I think the deer did what we thought they were going to do. Really,
once he cut that trail down, and it allowed them to kind of fall up more through there. They didn't have weeds and shit.
Yeah, so once we get all the bedding stuff implemented, and it's going to be a several-year process. Call it 10 years from now or 15 years from now, whatever. We're going to keep making improvements, but we got a really solid start to get the farm to where it needs to be. And I think, even with minimal work in the next 3 years, I think you should be no doubt hunting some mega giants.
I think that's a misconception with a lot of people too. Is the work doesn't just happen overnight.
Right.
There's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah,
and
slow grinding and slow
you got to keep
process.
chipping away at it. And there's a lot of things we'll do this year, but we might not necessarily see the results for
3 years.
several years. But being able to start now, I mean, if you wait 3 years from now and go, dang, I wish I would have done that, you could have already been sort of seen results.
Yeah, you could have already had the stuff in play, and
Yeah.
and we may do stuff where we get into that deer season, we go, well, the deer are utilizing it different than what we thought, so next year we may go back and have to do something different to try and get them to play into our favor.
Absolutely. And every year changes depending on what deer is there and what deer you're hunting. Not every big mature buck is going to do the same thing. And that's why I'm a firm believer in, I save tons of camera photos every year just to go back and look at what did that deer do next year. And whenever it comes up to that deer's at the right age or we decide to target that deer, how are we going to change the farm around to target that specific deer?
Yeah.
We might completely plant a new food plot just because of where that deer beds or because of what that deer does. And then following the next year or the next big deer you hunt, he could do something completely different on a different side of the farm, and we focus all our attention over there.
Yeah.
So it's really, overall, the bedding and stuff that we implement is great. But as far as of the little details, it just depends on year to year and what deer that we're wanting to chase.
And I think another big thing was, back to the Egyptian wheat, we have that road that goes right alongside our farm. And, like, the biggest thing you want is the deer to feel comfortable.
Yeah, or not
like,
someone drive down the road and fucking blast it straight off the road right in front of you.
Yeah, and I think the Egyptian wheat really helped in that aspect.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of the deer I watched, usually they'd be more high alert, and but this year it definitely seemed
they were more
calm, more
yeah.
mellowed out. And if you're looking for screening, and I highly recommend Egyptian wheat. It's like you got to plant it annually, but I think that's mostly all screening plots.
Yep.
But the Egyptian wheat, I think we planted like a 5-yard.
Yeah, it was
probably 100 yards
long
in length.
Yeah,
and it was phenomenal thick. I mean, it stayed up till, I think right now it's probably about, I think it grew up to, what would you say, 14 feet?
It probably was between 12 and 14 feet tall, yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
There was no way you were shooting. There was no way you were shooting through it or seeing through it. Your plot was completely blocked off.
Like me and my brother, we went up there, and he stepped a couple feet back in it, and you couldn't see him.
Yeah,
like,
it does make it nice for entry and exit. Not being able to blow out deer, and I mean you can get it, which I'm sure one of these days we'll have it. Here in the following years we'll have it to where you can probably climb in your blind and out of your blind without a deer even seeing you, which is ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. Yeah, a lot of cool plans going into up there. A lot of really, really big deer I think next year.
Bubba Gump and Dirk. Those are the two.
Yeah.
Hopefully still on the hit list.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you there was that was just the two you named, but there was a handful of other ones that are definitely going to be lookers next year too, no doubt.
Yeah,
there's always your stray deer that
your randoms.
Yeah, I mean, like you were talking about the Orange Army here in Missouri. Shit, you've never seen anything.
Yeah,
compared to what is up in Iowa, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
But I mean, yeah, they push around, kind of shuffle around deer quite a bit. Bubba Gump, I had never seen him before till this year, and there's not been a day where. I mean, right now, this time of year, I think he's gone. I'll get a picture of him one day, and it'll go 6 or 7 days. I don't get a picture of him yet, but
he's just
running around,
bedded close to food and not moving much.
Yeah,
and that's what they do late season. But
yeah,
so a lot of deer will pick up whenever people go in and pressure their farms day in and day out.
And that's what Bomar
all the time.
really utilizes is everybody around him pressures the deer, and they all go to his farm
Yes.
kind of as a sanctuary. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's not saying when we go in and do a bunch of work, that's not necessarily pressuring a whole lot. We might go in and do the work a few weekends, and then the rest of the year the farm sits. It's not pressured at all.
Yeah.
Until we slip in and slip out hunting.
Or if someone's looking for sheds.
Yeah. Bastards.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that kind of closes out, I guess, Alan's story in Iowa so far this year. A lot to look forward to, a lot of improvements coming, and I'm sure we'll have tons of video up on social media and a couple YouTube videos of doing some work up there. So that'll be pretty cool that you guys can follow along with and kind of see that farm come to life like we are.
Excited to shoot some turkeys this spring.
Yeah,
hopefully
a lot
go
of
on some snow geese. I know we will be hunting some Canadas next week.
Yep. So we got this time of year, whenever we don't have a big deer to chase, we're ducks getting ready to close, I guess, but we're going to be goose hunting a lot, and we'll follow that into spring conservation, shooting some snows.
And it's not that we don't want to get straight to work, but there's a lot of we all have big deer that have made it through the year. We're going to let shed and spend our spare time shooting some honkers and
kind of leave them be.
Having some fun. And after that, we're going to monitor, usually always do, and once majority, 80-90% of our deer have shed, we'll get in there, walk a bunch of stuff, shed hunting. I always enjoy shed hunting and carrying like flagging tape on me. And when you're in there in spots that you crash on in for the first time of the year and you see them trails in different places and you want to mark to come back to, because a lot of times when everything greens up, you can't really see the trails near as well as this time of year. So it's great to, put some flagging tape in there, and that way to come back if you want to do some work to that spot, or you want to, look into it a little better. So that's one tip that
The best time to run around on the farm's like a day or two after a snow. So it's like easier
get
to
that
see
sign,
those deer
you can
trails
see them sign,
and everything. So.
But all right, I guess Spencer, what yours is probably going to be the biggest, expectation going into next year, how we're thinking we're going to implement some strategies to try and kill curls and, hopefully pick up a lease, and we can start building some history and some story with some deer on a lease. But what do you think is going to be a strategy going into next year to hopefully knock down curls?
I think, it's going to be that food plot, later than what I'd put in, this past year.
Yep.
But then again, we may not get the rain that we need for it to grow.
Yep.
That time of year. And whether I go in there and do a little bit of clover, just to have, I guess, more of a choice for them to.
Well, the crop rotation is going to be different next year, won't it?
No, it's corn again.
Corn again? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So, he's should do the same thing.
Should be good for early goose season, too, I take it.
Yeah, there was a lot of geese in there, a lot of honkers. But
that's what I think. I think we ought to damn near, Spencer should buy every bit of corn the farmer plants from him, and we'll brush hog it. And if curls doesn't show back up, we'll just goose hunt it.
Yeah, you have until the 17th of September, and then he's out of there anyway.
Yeah, and then we can just goose hunt.
15th.
I'll be really interested to see what he does next year, because I think he puts one more year's worth of age on. I think he's gonna, his home range I think will shrink. He's gonna be 5 next year. We've pretty well come to terms that he's 4 this year, right?
Yeah. What do you consider his home range? Because all summer long he's on me.
No, I agree, but his, call it whatever deer's core home range is. Some of them are, 500 acres, but some of them like to travel. It seems like he doesn't travel a whole lot. It seems like he stays between you, and then he's got that other block of timber over on,
I think from this year and last year, as far as I know, he's only been seen on hoof, like other than us, once or twice.
Yeah. I honest to God, I think it's going to take a pretty big miracle to get everything in line as far as weather conditions go, food plots go, and that deer goes for that fact to get him, get him killed. But
Had there not have been 5 to 10 acres there, I probably would have killed him this year.
no, yeah, probably so. And it'll probably be different next year with it. The corn will be better earlier, hopefully. I hope we don't have as dry of a summer, so hopefully
And we can't really say where he home ranges, but typically, you always have them. Every deer's different. Some deer, as a 2 or 3 year old, will be homebodies and never hardly move, and some deer, will move 2 or 3 miles. But typically, as a deer gets older, it's home range, or it moves less, or it travels less distance, as long as it has food and water and what it needs. So,
yeah, I'm not asking him to stay there for a whole nother month and a half. I'm asking him to
but
stay
he
there
may
another
just stay
2
for
days.
a couple days. Yeah, that's it. He may stay for a couple more days. I mean, it may be that next year he, stays for a month more.
Well, that's just like the 170 that Michael killed. Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures of that deer the year before. The year he killed it, how many to have? 5?
Yeah, maybe. All dark, too.
Yeah. Well, no, it was in one night.
Yeah, that's
It
what I
was
mean.
Just one night of
that
pictures.
one night that he come over. But I mean, that's definitely typical of deer, especially when they get to that age. Whether it takes like taking Deuce out and the fine 9 starts showing up, or you take a certain buck out and another buck starts taking that range, or they expand to where they have a dominant area. But I'm really going to be interested to see what he does next year, what kind of inches he puts on, because we waited this year for the longest time. We were like, damn, is he going to show up? Damn, is he going to show up? Didn't show up. And then all of a sudden, boom, he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And, being a giant clean 8 as a 3-year-old, as a 4-year-old, he was
The same size.
Yeah, the same size, but he was a 10. He took, he maybe took, I'm not going to say he took a couple inches off his 2s and 3s, but he put on little 4s.
I think his 2s are still about the same.
I
But
think
his
his beams
3
got a little longer,
Next-
and he put on.
Yeah.
He
This,
put.
this next
3.
year will be exciting to see
Yeah.
him come in. So
I mean, it's very. There's a very good chance that he, does put on. I'm not going to say.
I
he's
would
gonna
say
put
at least
on,
some height.
Yeah,
in all
there's a
those.
good chance he puts on 15 to 20 inches. He's going to be he's going to be a real looker. That he's going to be a giant. But there's a couple good deer over there that I'd like to see next year. See what that are going to be. That
Yeah.
borderline. Probably won't end up shooting unless they put on 30 or 40 inches, but
Mm-hmm.
which is rare. But you never know. We'll see what happens over there.
Yeah, I really want to see D8 back.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him since, though, but I have a bad feeling he's dead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
the deer that was showing up a bunch recently.
But that's fake 8.
Yeah, it's-
There's fake 8 and
they
D8,
look identical.
but they're just, one's like 2 inches wider.
Yeah, but they look identical.
So I have a bad feeling he's dead. He's probably laying down in the river somewhere.
Yeah, it's going to be.
I'd take the drone and fly the river for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting come shed season to see what kind of deer we find, deadheads we find from. I know EHD was really bad in Iowa this year and in select areas.
Yeah, we didn't really see much.
Luckily,
me.
your farm, didn't really get hit, but I know there was.
As far
Not
as you
too
know.
far. I
Yeah.
mean, up like more north, or they did.
Right. Well, that's how EHD from that midge fly. I mean, it only takes one. That's why it's so selective and so area. There's only certain pockets of it is because it is that certain infected midge fly. So it's good that your farm didn't get hit this year. But yeah, it's got high. What'd you write down?
Oh, we're just taking some notes.
Taking some notes.
Nothing good.
But yeah, we got high expectations going into next year. I hope
Some
if we
good
even
deer for
yeah.
both of you guys for sure.
some really cool deer on camera for next year, and a lot of
Landon's goals for next year is to end the Kansas curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just get into, because like honestly, I don't have any deer in particular that I'm gonna be hunting. If anything, I'm gonna be looking at hopefully maybe even purchasing or leasing
Yeah.
some property here soon. But
Yep.
Just keep buying.
yeah, I'm just gonna keep trying to buy some property. I got some stuff lined up. We'll see. I'll talk to you guys after this. But you guys gotta stop the Kansas curse. And what else is on your guys' agenda for this next year? I think that'll be a good way to close out this rest of the podcast here.
On the agenda for next year, we're going to find out here in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, probably more like a week. I think we're going to probably go to North Dakota for that week that we were elk hunting, and probably go shoot ducks and geese in North Dakota.
When you doing that?
October. About 10 guys going up there to shoot.
Yeah, with Nick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Daddy Nick.
That sounds fun.
Yep. So I think that's probably going to be on the docket for next year instead
October
of
7th.
No, not the 7th. No, I'll be killing another deer with my bow, hopefully. But we'll definitely be back out in Kansas again. We got unfinished business out there, but as long as everything goes as planned, we'll probably go Kansas, North Dakota, probably film some duck and goose hunting, and come back and get straight into the whitetail hunt.
We should have a couple deer next year that are gonna be topping the list.
Yeah, I mean that's really subjected to change. That's a little ways out, but we may get pictures of a deer that we may bail on no deck, but I think
it all depends on what deer's showing up.
Yeah,
honestly,
it definitely depends on what's on camera and how we think it's going to play out and when we think we're actually going to be able to kill it. But what anyone else getting anything planned next year trip wise?
I don't know of any big trips.
Yeah, I don't think so. We might try and hit somewhere for turkey season, but as far as deer season goes next year, I think we're gonna try and keep it to Kansas, and I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think we're still trying to plan everything out. I know we're gonna get together and look at out of state tags, and when all those different
Different things go.
things start to open up.
Probably one thing that we'll really try next year is to get Adam's son on a deer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was about to say next year I may be a little busy.
Yeah.
Got a newborn in March, so that'll be
So we can hunt youth season.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna be hunting youth season.
No, dude,
He'll
that's
be ready by then.
Oh yeah, I mean he's gonna have some strong hands. I think he'll be able to pull a couple triggers back.
I
I'm sure.
bet so.
He's probably been doing curls every day already.
Honestly, he's definitely kicking. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's going to be exciting to look forward into the future, getting him into hunting and hopefully get him on some deer. But that's down the road, so hopefully we can.
And old Judd.
And Judd, yeah, Spencer's nephew, going to be exciting getting him on some deer too. So it is kind of cool. A lot of our cousins are of the age where they can't youth hunt anymore, and we're starting to, people our age are finally starting to have kids. So here in the future, we should have a lot of people to take youth hunting again, which is exciting.
Yeah, this year was Alan's last year youth hunting, so
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to say that.
unfortunately I can't take him next year.
But yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. I think everyone got their 2 cents in and kind of some season plans for next year and how this season went. We missed Max on this episode. I think he could have told his story a little bit more, but we'll get him on here one of these days. Otherwise, I guess we'll just give a big shout out to HLRBO for making a lot of this possible. They do a lot for us, and super cool leasing company. We're all people that are looking for leases. So if you're ever in the market, get on hlrbo.com and check them out. They got leases all over the Canada, United States. If you're in a state that's got deer, they probably got a lease in it. So jump on there and check them out. We're still trying to find a lease ourselves. They go quick anymore, but
It's the wrong time of year.
yeah, it's kind of wrong time of the year to look. And then I guess we'll give another shout out to Hurricane Marsh. Super cool people. We're going to be deer hunting with them this weekend, so we look forward to to podcasting with them this weekend and kind of getting the rundown of how Hurricane Marsh started. Super cool waterfowl brand from right here in Missouri, so check them out, hurricanemarsh.com. They got e-gift cards, hoodies, hats, everything you want. And then I think we'll have Graxall on here pretty soon. He's got boot dryers and some
Out west stuff.
yeah, some western hunting stuff, skull hangers. We're going to get him on the podcast. He can tell about his business. He's local to us, so shout out to him. But otherwise, if
I'm pretty excited, actually. I just leased a new farm in Iowa. Alan leased it to me
you did, Alan?
for next year. Yeah, I'm going to be targeting Bubba Gump next year.
What a nice guy, Alan.
Yeah, shout out to Alan. Alan, I really appreciate it.
Can we end this so I can beat his ass?
All right, guys, we're going to end it there. You know what to do. Wrap your tag around
I'm going
the
to wrap
main
my
beam.
tag around Bubba Gump next year.
But no, hopefully everyone had a good season. Hopefully everyone has a good shed season, has a good
Just finish the year strong.
finish the year strong, man. Grind it out.
It'll be a little late, but I guess Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's.
Yep, absolutely. So
Can't say that these days. You got to say Happy Holidays, Adam. No, actually, you know what? Screw them people. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Agreed.
all right, fellas. Don't forget, wrap your tag around the main beam. We're out. We'll see you next week.
Peace.